Hello, Stitch People. Welcome to the Stitch People podcast. I'm Lizzie Bean, your host and the founder of Stitch People, where our goal with cross-stitching is to inspire your personal creativity, and our goal with podcasting is to help you make some new friends while you're at it. Today's episode with Danielle is so much fun. At least it was for me personally. She and I have a lot in common. She used to work in the TV and film industry in Southern California. And that, as many of you know, is the industry where I sort of hope to have my capital D dream someday with acting or producing or directing or whatever I can get my hands on. She has been there and done that. So we talk about that in this episode. And we also, of course, talk about all things Stitch People and all of the incredible, cool crafts and gifts and things that Danielle has thought of and figured out in terms of her unique and fun Stitch People portraits and cross-stitch projects in general. I loved chatting with Danielle, and I know you're going to love this episode, so I will quit talking about it and we will get on to it. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm so looking forward to chatting with you. Where are you calling from today? Where are you?
I'm in Long Beach, California.
Oh, I love Long Beach.
It's
Do you love
nice.
it there? Are you from there originally?
I'm from Huntington Beach, so
okay.
15 minutes south. So yeah, pretty
Local-ish,
much. I'm from
right?
Southern. Yeah, I'm
I
born and raised
love
in
that.
Southern California.
There's
If
something
it's not
about
74
Long
and
Beach.
sunny, I don't know what to do. Just don't.
I love that. I love it. Spencer and I lived in Anaheim for about a year and a half. We always say like LA because not everybody knows Southern California, but we lived in Anaheim.
I'm sorry, you cut out. What city did you say?
Oh, we
Anaheim?
lived in Anaheim. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And we went to Long Beach frequently for some reason. Like just people wanted to meet there or go to eat there. I don't know, but we found ourselves in Long Beach a lot and really, really liked it. It's a cool town. It's one of those ones, if I recall, where like you kind of, depending on what street you're on, you kind of don't know what you're going to get. But like there's some really great pockets of great shops and restaurants. Like there's a lot going on.
There's a lot of like it's. I like calling it a medium city because it's not like a big. It's not like you're in it's not like the big city,
Sure.
but it feels like you have like all that stuff to do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like I live in the suburbs, so
Right.
I'm on like the suburb side of Long Beach, so it
There you
still
go.
feels like it's not.
Right. You can kind of be
It's
out
big city.
of the hustle and bustle, but easily in it if you want to. It's a little more optional.
If I want to be, yeah.
Yeah.
And my husband works in LA, so
great.
he commutes, which
Very
is
cool.
annoying because anybody that lives in Southern California knows what that looks like.
Yeah.
But
what is that? Is it the 405 that he has to take up there?
oh yeah.
Oh, there it is.
he works in film, so he works anyway. He works in film. He does TV commercials. So he
Cool. Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. You're our
He's a
people.
camera
That's,
guy.
oh, cool.
He's a camera guy. He
That's very
tends the
cool.
tech,
There you go.
which is why he can fix my computer when he needs to.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah, I used to do it. I was an AD. So,
okay.
I was an assistant director. So I like, for people that don't know what that is, I did the schedule and ran the set and everything. And then I had babies and now I stay home.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes and more times, no.
Yeah. Oh, tell me more.
I mean, like my job was hard. Like
Yeah.
it had its really stressful days because like
Yeah.
you're running a crew of 50 people
Right.
and you have a producer breathing down your neck to finish your day on time. And you
Yep.
have people that are slow and you have people that aren't slow. And then you're like constant, it's just the juggle.
Yeah.
But with kids now, I don't miss it because 14 hours away just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There's
So-
some listeners may not know, and I don't know exactly when we're going to be releasing this episode specifically. It is currently, and we're having this conversation, November of 2021. And I know, I don't know if you know this, Danielle, but Spencer and I met doing community theater. My capital D dream is to be in the entertainment industry. I have an agent here. And yeah,
I figured we would have this conversation. I was like,
TV
let me just do
commercials,
it and we'll get it out of the
voiceover.
way.
I know, just jump right in. But right now in California, the crew union is kind of striking or on the verge of. They're currently in discussions to renegotiate things because just exactly what you said, 14-hour days are very
it's,
typical.
It's not so much right now, but like a couple weeks ago, my Instagram feed was every other post was about it. And they came to an agreement right before the strike.
Mm-hmm.
They were set to strike Monday. The unions came to an agreement like the Saturday before or something like that. My husband, he's in the union, so it would have affected us.
Yeah.
And
in a big way.
Yeah. Well, commercials wouldn't have been as bad, but it was like for features and TV.
Yeah.
So they came to an agreement and the union votes on it on the 12th.
Ooh.
So in like a week.
Do you have any, is there any hubbub as to how that vote's going to go? Are people kind of predicting
I've seen it go both. I don't know. I'm not.
I know. Who's to say?
I'm just not going to worry about anything till I know what to worry about.
Right.
I'm not union,
I love that.
So I can't.
It's the vote would be for like a new agreement for, better working conditions. But I think it's a kind of
better hours,
marginally better. Because it's still like 12-hour days, with like slightly longer breaks, so it's still tough.
It's not what I've been telling my husband is like, it's not an industry that is geared for a family person.
Right.
So I think what the pandemic did was it made a lot of people realize, hey, I miss having a life outside of my job.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot of the reason that it's coming down to it. But you work 12, 14 hours.
For better, I would say.
Yeah. And when you factor in the commute, people aren't having time to sleep. So then you're having accidents. You're having people fall asleep at the wheel. It's like just
and it's not okay. And one thing we always say behind the scenes at Stitch People is nothing is an emergency / there's no such thing as a cross stitch emergency. Like, with what we do, we're a little business. We do cross stitch patterns. It's important to a lot of people, and it affects lives for the better, and it's a business ultimately. And yes, all that is true. But at the end of the day, if a pattern, if our printer is held up or something, we put out a message to the community and we say, shucks, folks, our cross-stitch pattern book's going to be a week later than we expected. There's no such thing as a cross-stitch emergency. And I think that's such an interesting thing with the entertainment industry too, where it's like, we're making like TV shows. This isn't like the Peace Summit of the world. Like it's easy to lose sight of the fact that like we're playing. We're supposed to be playing.
At the end of the day, it's for entertainment.
Yeah, right. Not that it's not important and it's not people's livelihood. There's business, but like, for people getting in accidents on their way home because they're so tired, like, I don't think so. So I hope it improves. That's really exciting. Yeah. I have to say, I really respect your first AD is a linchpin of a position. Long story short, I spent my summers in Maine growing up. My grandparents built a little cabin there and grew up going to that every summer. And I love Maine. I love the East Coast. I love New England. And I've always dreamed of like shooting something there because it's so picturesque and gorgeous. So pretty. And so a friend of mine was like, well, let's do it. She had wanted to visit Maine this fall with us, and we thought, okay. So like over the summer, I started percolating on ideas. And what I landed on was I wrote a pilot for a series idea that takes place in Maine. And I flew out like a little crew and some of my actor friends, and we shot it the first week of October. And it went really well. But like the biggest thing was the first AD. And luckily I had a friend he writes for a show on Apple TV, and he's written on shows on Netflix. So like he knows how it works. He's been on the big sets, and he stepped up as first AD. And I didn't realize how important it would be to just have somebody keeping the machine rolling, keeping us on task.
You need somebody, you need the communicator. It's like, hey guys, we're doing this right now, but next, I would always say on deck. Be like, on deck is this. Or,
because I thought I'd kind of be able to navigate that, but I was kind of I was simultaneously producing it while I was directing it, and my focus was so wide that it was hard to we got to stay on schedule.
You can only wear so many hats.
Yes. Oh, that was my biggest lesson. Whoa. But it was a lot of fun, and I want to do it again, so we'll see. But yeah, first AD, that's I respect the heck out of you knowing that, because that's a talent for sure.
Yeah, once I had babies, I was like, I just can't be away that long. When I worked up until I was 5 months pregnant with my oldest when I stopped doing features. So features, for anybody that doesn't know, it's like the jobs that are a couple weeks long where you're on set 5 days a week for 12 hours. My body just couldn't do it. Yeah. So I did commercials up until I was like 8 months pregnant. I think I was like 4 weeks from my due date on my last. Oh my gosh. And like the grips are like holding like flags over me so I can have shade. And I was like, guys, I think I'm done. I'm one of those people that I will just go. I was like, I'm done. And then I took a year off with her, and then I kind of went back for commercials here and there. Sure. As it fit into our schedule. And then when I had my second pregnancy, I was super sick, and I found out I was having twins. And so on our way home from my doctor's appointment, I looked at my husband. I was like, I'm done working. That's that. And and we're done. So and then when the pandemic happened, he obviously was out of work because Hollywood shut down. And then I took a few jobs like when the pandemic came back. And then once everything opened up, he's been super busy. So I've just been home doing my thing.
Just home, raising the kids, doing the thing. Are there any standout projects that you absolutely loved working on and would do again? Not necessarily like the, by definition, coolest project necessarily, but like what was coolest to you, most meaningful to you to work on?
Obviously my most fun project was a web series called Video Game High School. And so we did 3 seasons, and it was basically about kids who go to high school and their high school is video game based. So we had like a lot of, things that were like in the video game, like scenes where we had like a full blown Mario Kart track that we built. And then it was like right at my birthday, and the producer was like, Danielle gets to go for a ride in the Mario Kart. And I was like, this is so
That
cool.
is amazing.
And we did a lot of Mario Kart and a lot of like super fun random things that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Oh, this is very different, very interesting, unusual.
Yeah. So, and I just became really good friends with a lot of the people on that. So that was probably my favorite job.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I love that weren't necessarily on that job that I've met that I'm still friends with.
Sure.
The job I do that most people know is I worked on The Artist, which was like one of my first jobs out of film school.
Whoa, that's cool. That won a lot of awards.
It did. So that was like my first job.
Well done.
Not my first job, but like within the first 6 months out of film school. And we worked on it, and I was like, PA, bottom of the totem pole, but my name's in the credits. And the first time I saw my name scroll was like at a theater in Hollywood to The Artist that won an Oscar. Multiple Oscars. But
multiple. So wow, that's so great. How cool. How fun.
That's the big one I worked on.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Congrats on all the Oscars.
Yeah, I wish they were mine, but
well, hey, listen, the people who have them in their houses drank the coffees that you got for them. So
yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's all a team effort.
I held his umbrella over
him. There you go.
So sunburned, and it was super fun because it's a unique experience shooting a silent film.
Totally. That's totally different.
So it was fun.
That's so great. Oh, I love that. I love like leading out the gate with the passion projects. That's so cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Tell me, how does Stitch People fit into the life of a first AD in Hollywood?
So now we talk. So now we'll get to the actual stitching stuff. That's like, okay, guys, stop
it's
talking.
about all of it. It's about all of it.
Movies. So I picked it up 2.5 years ago.
Cool, very cool.
Picked up stitching it all, not just Stitch People. I'm gonna shut this window because it's like about to be blinded by the sun. I picked up stitching. Yeah, that's better. I don't know.
Good.
You tell me if you can't see me.
Fine by me.
So I picked up stitching 2.5 years ago because when I had my twins, whatever. I found out I was having twins, and they were a very, very high risk pregnancy. They were like a 50% survival rate.
Ooh.
They're called mono twins. So basically, for those that don't know what mono twins are, which is most people, they're identical twins. They're identical twins, and after conception, one baby becomes 2 babies, generally like a week after. My girls, instead of splitting to become 2 babies at a week, they become 2 babies at 2 weeks. So my body had already started the process. So they shared an amniotic sac and they shared a placenta. So they were, I'd say they were in the same bedroom.
Interesting.
So their umbilical cords.
Because your body only built one bedroom.
Mm-hmm,
and then they decided to split.
Exactly.
Okay.
They still share a bedroom.
Sneaky sneakers.
I know. So what made them so high risk was because their umbilical cords could get tangled. So if their umbilical cords get tangled, it obviously cut them off from me.
Right. Right, because they're sharing the same space and could do-si-do a little bit.
So like my doctor, when he told us what was going on, he was like, if you're going to have a twin pregnancy, this is not the twin pregnancy you want. And I said, okay, great. That's awesome. I'm very sarcastic, so I tend to just be like, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but like what else do you say?
There's nothing else you can say.
It's what it is. So okay, here we go.
Yeah. So how this leads into stitching was I ended up spending 7 weeks in the hospital.
Ooh.
So the reason I spent 7 weeks in the hospital, I checked in when I was 27 weeks and like 3 days along. Mm-hmm. So I was in bed for 16 hours a day to monitor the babies, to monitor them, so that if something happened, like if they So if they had like a heart rate issue or their heart rates dipped, or at any moment I had to have like a crash C-section, basically. Like I was there to have a crash C-section.
Sure. Just like emergency.
I was where I needed to be.
Yeah.
So I was off the monitor for 2 hours generally in the middle of the day. So when my 2-year-old would visit, because my oldest was 2.5 at the time. So my husband would bring her every day. And then I'd come off overnight to sleep, and then I'd wake up and I just lay there in bed and I'd have nothing to do. So, I know, it was
a lot.
The nurses were lovely. I am a very crafty person, so I brought a whole bunch of stuff to do. I brought this giant like Mickey Mouse, not Mickey Mouse, it was in the shape of a Mickey balloon.
Okay.
Picture that my husband's cousin drew, because he's a graphic artist. And so he drew it all up and I colored it in, and now I have this like beautiful piece of art in my baby's bedroom.
Love it.
But my favorite movie is The Wizard of Oz. So I wanted their theme of their room to be there's no place like home.
Yeah,
because
I love
like
that.
come on, like everything that was going on, it just seemed appropriate.
Yeah,
so I was like looking on Etsy for something embroidered, stitched, didn't really know what I was looking for, that said there's no place like home, like some sort of Wizard of Oz thing. So I was like, it's just so cute and it just seems so nice for a kid's room. So couldn't find anything that I liked. So I found a pattern of like there's no place like home. It has like a nice little border, has the shoes. I grabbed everything I have in my house in case we talked about it. And it's of course in my twins' room and they're asleep, so I can't show you. But so I was like, oh, this looks like fun. Like maybe I can try that. Like I have time to sit there and learn a new hobby. So why not? So then I went to Hobby Lobby and I grabbed like this. I grabbed it so I could show and tell. So I grabbed this pattern, which a couple of people have seen.
Oh, cute. It's to describe for those listening, it's in a round frame, florals around, and it just says, I can't adult today. So great. I love that.
I bought that to try, like just to like learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is nice. And then I did the Wizard of Oz pattern with just like floss that I bought on Amazon and fabric that I just got it just to learn.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah. So then while I was sitting there, I was a few weeks, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks in to my stay. And I don't remember if I was like looking at Pinterest and Stitch People popped up, or if it was like a targeted ad because I'd been looking up Stitch People. I don't even remember how it came up, but I was like, oh, look at how cute. I know. I was like, look at how cute these little people are. So I ordered the book and then shipped it to my house. And then my husband brought it to me at the hospital.
Good husband.
And then I did. So sweet. And then, so the third project I did was my little family.
Oh.
So it's got my husband and I holding hands, and then my 2.5-year-old, our cat, and then like just two little baby twins that I left their eyes off of because I didn't know the color of their eyes.
Oh, smart.
Now that I'm looking at this, their eyes are green, and I totally made them blue because they looked blue at first.
I hear a lot of babies' eyes look blue at first.
Yeah. And
is that real? I don't know if that's real.
My older one has really blue eyes, and I have really blue eyes, so I figured they would be. Anyways, so then I picked it up there, and then I pretty much now I stitch like every night.
I love that. I love that. What is it about cross stitching that like keeps you coming back?
Well, it's at least when I was in the hospital, it was this easy thing to do that while laying in bed, not being able to move the lower half of my body, I could sit there, and it pretty much saved my mental health while I was there, because it was something to do with my hands. It was something I could think about. It was something tangible. It wasn't
something
just
to like progress on too.
Yeah, it wasn't just sitting and watching TV. Because I found the days that I just sat and watched TV, I would get depressed. Like those are the days that like I had a rough night. Like, but when I would sit there and I would stitch, and like the nurses would all come in and they would like look at my pattern. I did this one for my sister-in-law. That was this really beautiful floral, and then in the middle, in like the negative space, was the F word, which I'm not going to say because I don't think people want to hear that. But it was the F word. And
in the negative space, that's funny.
Yeah, so it was like you just kind of like cut out of the
secret.
Yeah, it was like you just didn't stitch it at all, and like the white showed through. It was lovely. And I had this like really just soft-spoken older nurse who was like my night nurse, and she came in and she's like, "Oh, what are you stitching?" Because she stitched, so she was giving me her pointers, like make all the lines go the same direction, and like was teaching me all these little tricks. So she was super interested, and I showed her what I was doing, and she was like, "Oh no, oh my goodness!" And I was like, "I'm sorry.
It's meant to be funny. Sorry."
And I was like, "Sorry." I was like, "It's not for me. It's for my sister-in-law." So then I I had them in April, and then by like Christmas I had made like a wedding stitch for like a friend of ours, and I had done a couple Christmas presents and did like a housewarming present. And it's just like what I find is with like 3 kids, it's like I need something at the end of the day that I can like wind down. That's not just watching TV. That's not just like drinking a glass of wine. So I sit in like right here usually, or right here in my big fluffy chair.
I love a big fluffy chair.
I know, it's so comfy. And I stitch for like an hour or two to wind down, and it's kind of just become my mental reset time.
I love that.
This thing that I do that I know is just like for me to not worry about. I mean, granted, the last projects I've done have been my kids' trick-or-treat bags, but
fun.
Yeah, I literally brought it.
Just because they're for someone else doesn't mean it, the action is still for you. The doing of it is still for you.
Yeah, and then there's nights when my husband's like, can we just watch a movie tonight? Not stitch. And I was like, okay. So that's what it is. It's my mental reset time.
I love that.
Where I just have my me time, and I do a lot of other crafting. Like I have my Cricut, and I sew, and I have like all the other stuff, but there's so much setup. Anytime I want to do that, I have to go.
It's a bummer. I know. It really is. Just you said, as you can see, I'm like triggered now. It was like when it takes too much effort to get going, it's a full stop for me. That's why in a lot of my classes, I just use a mechanical pencil if I have to make marks. Should I use a fancy water soluble, heat soluble, something that's non-destructive? Probably, but that's one more obstacle that I don't want to have to think about preparing for. So it's I'll just use what I've got because it means I'm doing it. And I think that's more important.
Yeah, if I had the dream and the craft room and everything was just out all the time, it'd be easy, but I don't. And my crafting stuff is all in a closet in the garage.
Right.
And of course, whenever I need to go do it, there's a bunch of stuff on the counter in the garage. So I have to clean that. And so it's nice because it's a compact, easy setup thing. It's my cross stitch stuff takes up a drawer of mine. Well, now a drawer and a half of my nightstand as it slowly migrates and takes over more and more. And then I keep my floss in binders. And so my binders just live right under my bed. Yeah, they're super nifty. They're big old binders.
Ooh, what do you use the long, you put the skein? Oh gosh, I can't think of what it's called.
No, I don't do Annie's Keeper. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that. It's essentially what you do, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. You can take a full skein of floss. I'm showing one on the screen, but you take a full skein and you kind of take the little, little anchor wrappies off, and you can kind of loop the full skein widely, and it stacks on a little page. They've got hooks on them.
DMC sells.
Yeah, I can't think of what they're called, but
I do this. I have little.
Oh, cool. So she wraps it around the cardboard bobbins, and then the bobbins go into essentially page protectors. Yeah,
so I was reading. You can't see. They are slide protectors for photos. So they're 2-inch by 2-inch. So I took my Cricut because crafting, and I got the thickest cardstock it could cut, and I cut 2-inch by 2-inch bobbins. So I've wrapped everything so that it fits perfectly in the little slot. Now the ones I haven't rewrapped still kind of fall out, and I'm still slowly doing it because I'd rather stitch than sit there and rewrap.
Oh my gosh. Yep. But, same. I've got a whole box of just floss that needs dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. My friend just gave me some, and it's sitting in my nightstand, just on hers. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this.
I'll paw through it if it's a color I need, and then I'll just cut the length I need.
Yeah, I've done that too. But. So it's worse because I've got the full set in these 2 big old zipper close binders, and my husband was like, do you need the binders to zipper close? And I was like, yes, because I have a cat and dust.
Oh, smart.
So I have this full zipper, and they're easy to move.
I love that. Easy to take on the go. If you took a road trip or something, you could take your whole collection with you.
If you have the boxes, it's more compact, but I like looking at all the colors.
Yeah. How do you organize the colors? Do you organize them by number, or do you organize them by rainbow?
I used to organize them by rainbow because of designing Stitch Peoples. It was easier to figure it out, but if everything doesn't fit in a nice rainbow,
right?
I noticed when I was trying to put it all in order as my collection grew. And then once I got the full set, I got a color card, and now in the binders they're in order.
Yep,
they're in numerical order, and I use the color card when I'm designing. Which, if you don't have one, for anybody listening, get one.
It is the best. I think they're still sold out on DMC. Whenever they come live, they sell it like that. Because essentially, do you have the one that has the actual floss in it? That's what I have too. DMC, it's like a quadrifold little folio, almost like a little It looks
like kind of like an accordion. It kind of just like
it's like a glorified brochure of cardstock, but on top of it is they have just a few wraparounds each of every floss color in order, including the variegated and the light effects or whatever. So you can open it up and see all of the colors. Yeah. And it's real too, because it's the real floss. It's dyed. It's not just like a printed color card estimation, like a paint chip or something. It's the best. It's really great. Best.
It makes it so much easier to design. So I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, this color. And now I'm not like flipping through or like looking through all these colors.
And you see it in comparison to your other options too, where you're like, ooh, I can see this one's really bright compared to this one. I like the muted one better, or, you know, want something a little more teal or a little more yellow or, you know, whatever.
And then once I got the color card, I had to finish my my collection.
Get them all. Got to catch them all. It's like crafty Pokemon.
My husband was like, do you really need all the colors? And I was like, yes, I do. Like, because if I go through this, set. But there's been times where I'm like, oh, this color, when you start to stitch it, you're like, oh, this isn't quite right. So you look at your color card, like, oh, let me try this one. And I have it.
Right. That random one specific color.
That you just need for like eyes. Yep. Where you just need literally 3 stitches and you're fine.
Especially when you're being unique or customizing, personalization, whatever, you know, people's skin tones, people's hair colors, especially. Like I find with hair where it's, you know, light browns and blondes are hard for me to match. And I mean, I know everybody kind of struggles with those. And so you'll find that it's like that one hue of kind of that like creamy, yellowy, neutral blonde that you need, that like, or maybe it's a little more ashy, or maybe it's a little more warm, and you just like, it's this one random color that you wouldn't use for anything else.
It's like one strand of like a bronze where you're like, oh, that highlights. Like those that can't see me, I'm blonde. So it's like when I do my hair, I'm always like, okay, what colors do I use?
Yeah, it's tricky.
That are, all 3 of my girls are redheads. So they're, they're like strawberry blonde. But it makes it really hard to like.
Strawberry blonde is real hard. Because it's either you get like pinks or oranges, or you kind of go the yellowy blondish. It's hard to get it just right.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah. So I love that. And you're so organized. You've got the full collection. It's great.
I'm a very organized person.
I love that. Are you, I was going to say, having come from the land of production and scheduling and keeping people on track for a living, it doesn't surprise me all that much, I have to admit. But do you find that you are as organized with your organization of like your project timelines as you are with the project themselves? Like, do you have it all planned out that I'm going to finish the trick or treat bags and then I'm going to move on to this and I have this one in the works? Like, how do you plan your workflow?
Well, I mean, I've gotten pretty good about judging how long it takes me to do like the Stitch People project.
Sure.
That I'm always like a little picture of, like for both of the Stitch People swaps, because I did the fall swap and the Christmas swap. Neither of those were Stitch People projects. They were totally other ones that I came up with because I was like, let me try something different for both of them actually.
Yeah.
And both of them took me longer than I thought. Because I know how long, I know that a little person, depending on how detailed it is, either takes me 1 or 2 sittings. And it's never like, oh, it takes me this much time. It's how many times do I sit down with it?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But like a kid in just like a normal t-shirt and shorts, I can do in one night. But if like my trick or treat bags, they're Halloween costumes.
Oh, so, fun.
Let me grab it.
I think, did you post this on the community?
I did.
I think I saw this because I think it is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like ever.
So like the little people,
so cute.
So
are they the pre-done, like Ada friendly tote bags?
Yeah. Oh, so I found it on from Joanne's last Halloween. Somebody in the community posted these bags and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. I need to do it. And me being the planner that I am, I ordered the bags last year for this year.
I love it.
Because I just tend to do that. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. And
you got to think ahead.
All this stuff. So I ordered bags for all my kids. And then one of my really good friends, I'm actually doing a set of bags for her kids, who I adore.
Love that.
Like I've known her since college. She does all of our family photos.
That's great.
And her daughter is my daughter's like best friend.
Oh.
So she was like, I love them. She's like, I want them. And I was like, okay. Actually, last year I did a family portrait of like her in-laws. There's like 14 of them.
Oh my gosh. That's impressive.
I know. So I did that as a commission for her, and then she did my family photos, and we just kind of traded.
Oh, nice.
And it worked.
Great.
Which was good because we weren't going to do family photos last year because of the pandemic.
Sure.
So it was good.
But with your little, what did they call that? Your little pandemic, like, clan or whatever.
Yeah.
They were promoting that for a while, that like choose like one other family and you're the only ones that you see, so that your germs are okay.
Yeah, we just stayed home.
Yeah, right.
We had babies. Our twins were
tiny
one.
littles.
So we just stayed home. Anyway, so
for those who can't see the bag, she's holding it up. It's like a tote bag, and she's stitched trick or treat, but the words are kind of like separated, and there's cute little jack-o'-lanterns on the either side of the oars. Yeah. And then it leaves enough space where between the words, she's stitched each year of Halloween costumes. So like 2017, and there's a little girl.
A flamingo.
So cute. Oh, it's a little flamingo. Oh my gosh.
A ghost, and then Sophie, and then Elsa, because
Elsa.
She was 4. And then this year she was a witch. So I just have to like add this year because I was like, I'm not going to do it before.
Yeah, right. Got to see what.
But in terms of like how long projects take, I was anticipating finishing them like a week before Halloween. I was like, I can finish it a week before. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I probably, because I stopped to do my swap exchange thing. And I was like, I'm okay. I was like, I've planned plenty of time to finish the twins bags. It's going to be great. And then one of the twins was sick, and we ended up in the hospital overnight. She's okay now. She's just having some breathing issues. She learned she kind of has like a pre-asthma type of thing.
Well,
but she's
good
fine.
You caught it.
She's fine now. But it threw like, because as I'm still sniffling, sorry for everybody at home, because I'm getting over the cold that she caught. Because she's 2. She coughs in your face. You pick up the cold. It just happens. It's being a mom.
How it goes.
So then I was like, the week before Halloween, I was like, I want to finish Emily's bag. I really want to finish the last one. And I finished it at 11:30 at night, the night before Halloween. So I finished it.
Well, hey, at least it was before.
Spare. My husband's like, you don't have to finish it. She's 2.5. She'll never know. And I was like, yeah, but I'll know. Mm-hmm. And it'll be in
that is a common theme is with people when you make mistakes or when you have deadlines. It's like, yeah, but I'll know. And how much of a driver that is.
Yeah.
Just like these standards we set for ourselves.
And after such a crazy week with like me getting sick and them getting sick, it was like, I finished it and I was like, I didn't know how much I needed to finish the bag just for me.
just to have it done off the to-do list.
Feel better. Yeah. And now I'm on the like Christmas commission.
Oh,
so
how fun.
I have 2 wedding commissions, which are going to be the same thing. She's giving one to the couple that got married and one to her mom.
Oh, nice. Cute.
So I'm not going to go too much into detail because I don't know if anybody is going to come across this, and I don't like to spoil things. So I have 2 of those. And then last year I took too much on, and I was like, every single night I had to stitch, which is never a situation I want to be in.
No, when you feel kind of imprisoned by it, that's when it starts to lose the joy. That's when the resentment builds.
So I took the 2, and I'm like, okay, great. And then I have a list of like some friends that want them. Like I did a nativity scene pillow for my mother-in-law.
Wow, that's a fun idea.
Last year. It was, I used I think it was the Christmas book. She bought me the Christmas book for Christmas the year before. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. Because we're sitting there looking at it Christmas Day. And she's like, oh, you could do it. And she's like, oh, I love nativity scenes. And I was like, okay, well, duh, I'm doing this for you next year.
Easy peasy. I love that.
But I did her a pillow and I shared it on my Instagram. So my friend saw it, and her mom loves nativity scenes. So she's like, can you do one for my mom? So now I told her, I was like, I can't guarantee I'm going to get to it. I was like, so I have like a list now of just, I'm going to call you when I finish the project ahead of you. So I'm not like taking on too much.
Yeah. One at a time. So are most of your commissions, do you have like an Etsy shop that people buy from, or are most of your commissions just like kind of word of mouth, friends and family?
Word of mouth and friends and family.
Cool.
I don't have enough time to do an Etsy shop.
Yeah.
Because I've got 3 kids under 5 and I do this for fun. So most of my commissions are just like friends.
Love that.
I've had, I think 2 commissions of people I didn't know that saw it. Because like I have my Instagram account that's like literally just my stitching stuff.
Love it.
That's just my stitching stuff. Actually, you guys I think you shared my bag on your guys'
probably
Instagram.
did.
I think you guys did.
Probably.
So
because it's really cute.
Yeah, because it was a cute picture of like all this like candy by it. So I did get, somebody was like, oh, I saw the stitch you did for this person and I want one. And so I've had I think 2 that way.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm like, that I openly like promote.
Yeah. Well, and that's nice because I like that balance. That appeals to me. That is, if I were to get more into doing custom portraits again, because I spend too much time running Stitch People to be able to actually do a lot of Stitch People now. And I've often thought, like, I actually been kind of missing it. I've got a couple, like, friends that I think I'll stitch some portraits for this Christmas, just for fun for myself, because I haven't in a while. And I'm the same as you. It's like once the pressure of, like, someone has ordered this, they have paid for it, like, I have to do it. I've got a whole timeline of them lined up. If I don't do it, I'm going to get behind. Like, it's a certain kind of stress that it makes it actually harder for me to jump in and do it, let alone enjoy it, because I feel like I have to, and that's really hard. And I
want to do stuff that is for me.
Yes, and that's meaningful.
That's not just like the bags or like
right.
I started doing holiday pillows.
Fun.
For my house or like my front couch. I put them on the bed. Like, hey, look, stitch things. So this pillow that I just did, it's like the Sanderson sisters, and it says I smell children.
So cute. Halloween.
Because Halloween and all the children. So I'm working on a friend's one that I keep having to put down because I need to do other, and
right.
These things that you want to do for yourself. And I think it's really important that if you do take commissions or like you do presents for other people, that you every now and then do one that you get to keep. That's for you. That's one thing nice about the swap exchanges is I'm doing something for somebody else, but then you get something too.
Yeah.
And it's fun
and people go all out for those. They're really, really cool. Do. It's just for those who don't know what that is or haven't heard about it, there's a group, like a little subgroup in the Stitch People community on Facebook that has like self-started a stitch swap. And it's like you just submit and there are some parameters for like timelines of when it's kind of generally due, but you just get assigned somebody else and everybody just makes something for someone else. And so just like Danielle said, you are working on something that you are going to be giving away, but you are expecting that you'll get something in return. And it's often a time where people will like try a new technique or like go all out on a pattern or do something kind of silly or different or fun because it's just a place where kind of, no holds barred, like just go all out and have fun and do something nice for somebody, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. Like the last one, the fall one, I had picked out this like awesome, Haunted Mansion pattern that I found on Etsy. And I was like, I want to stitch this. And then in my head, I was like, then I'm probably gonna have to stitch it for myself too.
Right.
But I was like, this is an awesome pattern. And I can't do anything too elaborate because I just don't have the time.
Right.
For it. But then it's done on this website called Elfster. So it's basically like a Secret Santa kind of thing. So it assigns you there and you can say what you like and what you don't like. And my gal was like, I prefer fall over Halloween. And I was like, okay, great. What do I do now?
Oh, great.
Because my plan had completely gone out the window.
No Haunted Mansion.
No Haunted Mansion. Well, it was like the first time I got, the first swap was, we did Christmas in July, and it was my very first swap, and I got Betsy.
Oh, like, Betsy Weiniger.
Yeah. And I was like, okay,
I remember her Christmas swap. She did a scene from Christmas Story, like with the house and the kids, and it was like stunning. All out.
And we drew names. It was like maybe only a few weeks after whichever Stitch People event there was. And I was like, I looked at my husband. I was like, my first swap, I would get the person whose class I just watched. Like,
right.
I would.
Our guest presenter with the turkey stitched pets and the real hair cosmetology colors. And
So like hers, I did, I made a Christmas tree. It looks like the Christmas tree. And it's a quote from the National Lampoon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Christmas. I can't think of the name right now. But
right. I'm with you. Yeah. The Chevy Chase and.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
So I so I made something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Than just like a little Stitch People portrait or something. Anyways. And then for the fall, when she was like, oh, I prefer fall over Halloween. And I was like, what do I do? How do I figure this out? Okay, great. I did a bouquet and I just practiced like in different embroidery techniques. So I just embroidered bouquet. With,
I love that.
Wagon wheels, and there was a whole one that just had a whole bunch of French knots and just different stitches, which was ended up being really fun.
Just like a gorgeous little floral for fall.
Yeah, fall bouquet, and I was like,
love
this
that.
is fun because I was like, I had no idea what to stitch. So
right.
I came up with that, and she said she liked it. So
well, there you go. And you could just take people at their word. I think she probably did. I would. I love those floral samplers that. Yeah, they're often like wildflowers or like you said, like a bouquet.
So
And they're a great way to practice all those stitches because you can create so many interesting effects with florals and different embroidery techniques. And so they end up looking like really, multi-dimensional and just shiny and gorgeous. And yeah, I would have been thrilled to receive something like that. I think that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun project.
That's great. Did you struggle with any of the stitches, or did you figure them out pretty quick?
Oh yeah, like it took me a second to figure out. Like I did a big wagon wheel to look like a big rose, and when I did it, I was like, "This is giant," because it's just like, and not in terms of like the diameter of it, but
right?
just like how far it came off of the fabric.
Yeah, it raises up pretty high.
So much more floss than I anticipated.
They're
deceptive.
I had to,
go back and buy more. I know.
Oh my gosh!
Because I used so much, but
that's amazing. It's like the bang for your buck is great, but for, the wagon wheel stitch, if you're not familiar, it's like you create a little star of like 5 spokes of a wheel, and then you essentially just weave your floss with your needle like over, under all those spokes around in a circle until you get a wheel, a circle, and it turns into this beautiful like raised circular flower that can represent a rose or just anything kind of circly beautiful. It's usually like a nice center point of a floral motif. But it uses a lot of floss. It's a lot of around and around and around.
It was. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm regretting my decision.
Yes.
How big I made this. Should have made it smaller.
Ooh.
But it was fun. It was fun. I learned.
Good. I'm glad. I love that.
That's what like this is. It's an art. You learn things on this stitch that you can incorporate into the next stitch, or how, just how it goes. And every time you do one, you get better. It's like, if you look at anybody's very first stitch people, that has been doing this for a minute and has done multiple projects.
Yeah.
I'm sure they look very different.
Oh my gosh, yes. My very first stitch people is just night and day of what I can do now. I originally did it where I had separated the arms from the body by a half a stitch. So I completed the full arms of every character outside the holes of the Aida fabric. So instead of using like a very natural column of, stitches in the weave of the fabric, I stitched like a half a stitch out from the body because I didn't love like just the side-by-side arms, but then like it ended up looking even weirder. And I was like, oh man, what do I do? And I outlined them all in a thread of black. So they look very cartoony, which some people like that look. I mean, there's nothing against it, but I've definitely stepped away from doing that. And so it just looks very different from sort of where I've developed my portraits able to go. Yeah, you got to start somewhere though, right? You got to jump in, take risks. But
it's even like figuring out what realistic hair, like how to do that. And
right.
Versus like some stitches, I'm like, oh, regular stitched hair like looks way better for this for X, Y, or Z. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, real hair is perfect for this one. Like I did a family tree and I did real hair on all of them. And it was the first time I did real hair.
Congrats.
And it was like such a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was last Christmas for my mother-in-law because I stitched her 2 things last year for Christmas.
If she likes it.
I did a family tree and a pillow for my mother-in-law.
Oh, fun.
I like things that are handmade.
Well, hey, I think it's more meaningful, and it definitely, I guess it depends on the recipient, but oftentimes family members are much more pleased with something that's thoughtful and personalized and handmade and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me, clearly you're very into crafting and you're very passionate about like friends and family. What would you say is like the number one thing that lights you up the most? Like if there's a subject that comes up, what could you talk about like for hours and hours to the worry of like boring everyone else around you, but it is just like your thing?
It is 100% what we're talking about.
Really?
Right now.
Oh, I love that. Huzzah. We tapped into it. I love that. Because sometimes it's not. You never know. You never know.
I love stitching. Like I sit there and I talk about it. And like even I work out with the Fit for Mom Long Beach group. So we'd like work out. It's like a mommy and me workout group basically. And we went to I was running with them this morning, and one of my friends was like, oh, what are you working on now? What commissions do you have? And I'm just like, let me just talk about this for way longer than I should for anybody else who doesn't stitch. And my poor husband has to hear about it all the time. Because it's what my brain thinks about. That's not my kid. Everything else my brain thinks about is my kids and running the house and keeping everything in order here. So it's just like that me thing that this niche that I've settled into.
Why do you think that is? Like, is it just, I mean, my gut says it's because it taps into so many things that are because our brains are computers, right? Like they like to go in the background on their own. And I think that crafting in general, but especially cross stitching, because there's a system to it. With quilting, it's like, yeah, you're cutting and sewing, but depending on the pattern, who knows what you're going to be doing next. With cross stitching, it's the same basic thing. And I think that is safe. And it's known. And so our brains can kind of go crazy creating within the limits of what cross-stitching is. And it's a really fun challenge. And there's the planning element and there's the artistry of it. And there's especially when you're doing things for other people like you do so much, like there's this meaning behind it and this love and connection of your loved ones that makes it extra fun to think about because you're thinking about what somebody's going to like and what's going to be special and when you're going to give it to them and how you're going to frame it so that it feels really nice. There's so much about it.
And it's this way to get out that creative crafting bug that I can't do because I just don't have time to. That's something that I can do in the evening that is easy for me to pick up, and I can sit and I'm comfortable in bed and I watch TV and it's mechanical. It's just this thing that I do that just relaxes me. It calms my anxiety. It's just, unless I miscount something and then I
right. And then it's anxiety out the roof.
And then it's just throw it away and start again.
Right.
But
burn it down.
I can't tell you how many times I've miscounted something and I just kind of make it work.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to hear that you do that because otherwise there is a special kind of rage that cross stitchers and probably crafters in general can relate on that not everybody understands that because you put so much into it, and especially if it's something that happens later in the project, you're almost done and you make a mistake. It is just fury unleashed.
Oh yeah, these silly bags. I think it's because I did 3 in a row. That I just, because I did them.
It's a lot.
It's especially the third one, there's so many little mistakes where I am one row too far over. And so I just kind of
who's going to notice?
Made it work. I just scooted everything over one more line. So
you just make it work.
I do my best to not have to undo work, especially if there's a lot of different colors or I'm a long ways along.
Right. Because it just, what is that? The sunk cost fallacy. We're always talking about that of just you've put in the time, it would be, there does come a point where what is that? The ROI in business speak, the return on investment, where you've put in so much time and effort so far that to start over would be worse, even though that might be better as far as having the perfect thing. So you have to weigh do I want it perfect or do I want it done? And do I want my sanity or do I want it's just a lot of factors.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it's anytime my friends bring up stitching or I bring it up, I'm always just kind of I'm sorry.
I love that.
And I actually got one of my friends into stitching.
Yes.
Because I talked about it so much. She hasn't done cross stitch yet. She's just been doing embroidery. So she does, she started doing base florals. That's kind of what she started with. So I've been
they're great. They're really great bang for your buck because it's just a few simple stitches and you've got, you said, got a bouquet. Yeah. So it's a great play. We won't shun her. She's welcome in the stitching world.
She's very welcome. I'm sure she'll probably listen to this.
Yes.
And I'll eventually get her to
join us to stitch people. We want you. Make portraits.
I'm sure I'll get her.
That'll be fun.
I actually haven't made a portrait for her yet because she started stitching. So
she'll do her own.
I'm just going to wait for you to make your own. So that you
I love that.
That's why she's one of my few friends I haven't made one for.
Give a man a fish and he eats for a day, and you teach a man to stitch his own family, and he will cross stitch for the rest of his life.
Forever. For gifts for everybody.
That's that phrase, that very common phrase.
Super common. So yeah, that's, it's kind of aside from, the obvious of being talking about my kids and stuff, but this is talking about the thing that's for me.
Right.
And then the other part of that is talking about my kids because mom can't just talk about their kids forever because
I love
they're hilarious and for the most part they're awesome. Except for when they're fighting and then they're not. But most of the time they're awesome.
I love it. I love that. Oh.
And we're getting to the twin. They're 2.5, so we're getting to all the twin, them playing and them interacting and them having a conversation with each other that makes no sense, but they know what they're saying.
That's the spooky fun twin stuff. That's
I know.
Great.
So, and one of them is just, especially the oldest twin. She's hilarious. Like the stuff that she does, it's just so funny.
I love
that.
So
it's like between my kids and stitching, it's kind of the stuff I can always talk about that I probably talk about too much.
I love it. Hey, what's too much? By what standard, I say? Well, we have, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what it is, like flown through our time together. So here at the tail end, I'm going to just throw you some favorites and just give me like your gut reaction, rapid fire. What's your favorite stuff? So we'll start with, what's your favorite food?
Okay. Probably cheeseburgers. I love
yum.
Cheeseburgers.
Can't go wrong with cheeseburger. Do you have a favorite cereal, like a favorite breakfast cereal?
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Ooh, classic. I have respect for that.
When I was pregnant with my oldest, it was my craving. I had a box of Honey Nut Cheerios and a gallon of milk a week because I wanted Honey Nut Cheerios every morning. Probably Honey Nut Cheerios.
I love it. This one's kind of a two-parter, but not really. If you're into sports, do you have a favorite sport? And if not, what's your favorite Olympics event to watch when it's Olympics time?
I do watch sports, football and Formula One. My husband got me really into Formula One. It's like race cars.
That? Oh.
So
cool. That's so unusual to me. I don't know anyone who's into that.
Are all over the world. So it's not just like NASCAR's like based in the US. It does like this morning where their race was in Mexico.
Oh, neat. So international car racing. So we're talking like Disney's Cars 2.
Well, actually, yeah.
I love it.
When it's like in Cars 1, when he's like, oh, I just love the Ferrari. It's because of Formula One.
Right. There you go.
So when he's like, I just follow European race cars, that's pretty much what it is.
Perfect.
So he's gotten me pretty into that. So I've got my favorite driver, who's Danny Ricciardo. McLaren. So he's my favorite. And then I watch football and I'm a Cowboys fan.
Awesome. I love that. Okay.
And then I guess Olympics is be gymnastics.
Oh, yeah. It's so great. It's so
I love gymnastics.
So cool.
When it's the games are here in LA, and I think 2028.
It's on the way.
Yeah, I already told my husband our daughters will be like the perfect age that we're going to take them because when we put on the Olympics, it's like especially she just turned 5 last week. Was like pretending to be a gymnast.
I love that. Okay, do you have a favorite quote? And you can say no if you're not a person who remembers quotes. Because if you ask me that, I don't know what I'd say.
I mean, yes, but I cannot think of the exact wording right now, so I don't want to say it.
You can paraphrase.
It's a Disney quote. It's a quote from Walt Disney that it was about like the courage to pursue your dreams, and it was like
I love that.
It was something I can't remember.
Very inspirational.
And then there was another one when I was working where it was, your lack of preparation is not an emergency on my part.
Oh, that's literally like Spencer grew up hearing that phrase. A lack of preparation on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. Yeah, that his dad would say that to him all the time, especially when they had like project deadlines or something for school. And he was like, not my problem. Like that's
it's like
not an emergency.
Just because you aren't ready doesn't mean that I need to freak out because you weren't ready.
Right.
Exactly. I'm the kind of person that would, so I always have to remind myself of that.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm very like type A. I'm always like, well, just let me do it. And so I always have to like remind myself that.
That's a good reminder. Okay, so now final favorite question for the film student. Do you have a favorite movie?
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Oh, yes, you said that. Darn it, that wasn't a new one. Okay, how about this? Do you have a favorite director?
You know, I don't really have a favorite like director because I don't necessarily at least right now in my life, movies revolve around what can I watch at home and what can I watch with my like the kids.
Right.
And so I unfortunately can't go to the movies so much.
Right. Can't keep up with like the latest releases.
Yeah. So I would say it's like, I don't really have a favorite.
That's all right. You never know.
I find, and I don't always know who directs movies because I don't always care. I'm always like, what's the idea of the movie? It's a story. I'm not here to be like, oh, who's in it? Oh, who wrote it? Or who?
I'm the exact same way. I have a terrible time remembering names because first of all, I have a hard time with name recollection if I don't know the person personally. Like if I haven't met them or talked with them, it's like, I don't know who you are. Why would I know your name? But yeah, I go for like the story and the feeling and the ambiance and the experience. And it's really hard for me to remember that like, oh yeah, that Tarantino starring such and such and so and so. Like I can never pull it out. So
Same.
that's all right. I respect that.
And working in film, somebody's always like, do you like this person.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Ooh, I know. I always feel that way.
And then they're like, oh, they did this movie. And I'm like, oh, yes. Okay,
right.
great. Yes,
yeah. Tell me what they did. And then I can tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like right now haven't been able to watch a ton of movies that aren't on Disney Plus. Because when I do Stitch at night, it's like if I'm watching a movie, I tend to like get into the movie. And so I watch
hard to
a lot
multitask.
Of TV shows.
Yeah.
That's
what's your latest?
Yeah,
what's
so
on?
I try to watch.
What's on for you these days, TV wise? What's your latest watch?
My husband and I just finished Ted Lasso.
Oh, we are almost done with season 2.
It's so good. It's like my favorite
good.
show right now. It's just so happy.
Yeah. It's so different from so much that's on. We loved season 1. We're struggling with season 2 because we're only halfway through it. I know everybody says watch to the end. There's a twist, so we need to get there. But I feel like the first few episodes of season 2 haven't been quite as earned as season 1. Like there was more struggle in season 1 where Ted was really the only one as optimistic as he is, and everybody else kind of had to learn. And now I feel like everybody's learning their lessons left and right so fast, so easy.
They're
but
definitely
I've heard
focused on the other characters a lot more in season 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a couple episodes that my husband and I are like, okay.
Right, like the Christmas one. We watched that. We're like, what was that? I heard though that they had written 6 something like, I don't know the exact number, but it was what happened was they wrote 6 episodes for the season, and then when they got renewed for season 2, they got contracted for like 8 episodes, and so they had. So I think that's why like the Christmas episode was like a little insert, and then I don't know if they tagged one on the end or whatever, but I heard that was maybe why.
That explains an episode that you probably haven't watched yet.
Okay.
That afterwards, my husband and I are like, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
was it the rom-com one? That's the last one we watched, was the rom-com episode. And we were like, what the heck was that? It was like they sort of rip off some like rom-com themes to tell the story of, anyway. And
I don't remember.
I don't know. I'll touch base with you.
I don't want to like anybody that hasn't watched it yet, because I highly recommend it to anybody that hasn't watched it, because it's a great show.
Oh, that's great.
And then I'm slowly watching The Crown.
I loved The Crown.
My husband's not into it, so I only watch it when he's doing something else or whatever. And I usually am stitching when I watch it, so it's like
it's beautiful.
I think I'm almost at the end of season 3.
Very cool.
Maybe the beginning of season 4. I don't know. So it's been a slow one, but I enjoy it. But if my husband, he's watching TV with me, I don't watch that.
Well, there you
Otherwise, we watch I sit there. Well, Tuesday nights now, because I have my, as a very organized person, I have my routine.
Yes.
How to keep everything clean at my house. So every Tuesday I do all the laundry, and then I drink wine, hold it, and watch The Bachelorette.
Oh, love that routine.
So that's nice, because I hate folding clothes. So I drink a little wine and I watch The Bachelorette while I do that.
And you have a little what do they call that? Guilty pleasure show.
Yeah, it's my guilty pleasure show.
It's like a little treat.
The other show we watch Survivor. Right now.
Yeah, I know a few people who are real avid Survivor watchers.
I've watched it.
I've heard it's great. Yeah.
Sans maybe a couple years when I was working a lot and I wasn't always home, but
sure. But hey, it's clearly a formula that works. People are interested in it, so
yeah. I just want Amazing Race to come back, because that's my favorite.
Oh, fun! Yes, I didn't know it had stopped.
Yeah, it stopped because of the pandemic.
Oh,
and they haven't
that freaking pandemic
started it again yet that I know of. Yeah, I want to go on that show a little bit.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Well, I've done a couple game shows already, so we'll see. Maybe I'll eventually get on that.
Awesome. I have to, but Spencer and I did a Price is Right once, and we were there with 2 friends who had made T-shirts. They were bright yellow, and we were like some of the last ones to be taken into the auditorium, and they put us right in front and center, right behind the 4 pre-game contestant spots, and you can see us we're just behind. We're right behind the contestants, and that was a lot of fun.
You have that energy that they want.
So yeah. And we were all in bright yellow shirts, and our 2 friends who were with us are theater people, so we were all just super animated, super into it.
Course.
So
when I went with it was me and 7 guys in college, and I'd made us all shirts that said Plinko.
Oh, fun!
I was an exclamation point. And so I got picked when I did that, but I didn't get out of contestants where I was the last one. And I don't know how much golf clubs are. And then I was on Let's Make a Deal.
Oh, with Wayne Brady?
With Wayne Brady. That one's super fun. You would like that one. That one's super fun next time you're in LA.
Okay.
So I got picked for that one, and I won $1,100 because I picked the box. And I took the money instead of the box, and the box was a zonk. So go me. And then last year,
done.
So I've done.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, fun.
So
Whoa.
I've done the game show circuit.
That's pretty cool.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun thing to do. Like if ever anyone's traveling to LA, look, I mean, they're always filming these shows and they always need audience members. And it's a really fun way to spend kind of the day. So definitely look into it.
It is a day thing. So if you're ever like in town and you're like, hey, let me go to Price is Right or let me go to like, it's at least half your day.
Yeah.
Depending, because they do 2
and it's
tapings.
Very tiring. I mean, they want you to be high energy and like, so you're pretty tired by the end of the day, but it is a really fun experience. And you get genuinely invested in like I didn't get called up on Price is Right, but nobody I knew, but you just want everybody around you to succeed and you're cheering and you're trying to help. And it's just a really great environment.
It's fun when you get picked, but I actually think it's more fun when somebody in your group gets picked.
Yeah.
Because I did Let's Make a Deal twice before I got picked. And we went and a friend of ours got picked. And it's just so much more fun when you're actually cheering for somebody you know, as opposed to having to be like, oh, I'm on camera.
And like the intense pressure of like, how much do golf clubs cost? And it's like, I don't know, $400, $800? I don't know.
It's like Wheel of Fortune. It's like you're sitting there all day and then they're like, okay, it's your time to go. And I'm like, I'm tired, guys.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
It's a lot.
Let me perk up a second. Keep going. But that was fun because I came in second when I was that and I won 9
well
grand.
done.
So
wow.
That's a good day.
Yeah, that's a great day.
I actually even asked them, I was like, can I say Stitch People? Because when you're like intro, I said I cross stitch and I was like, and they were like, no, you can't. I asked though.
That's nice. Well, thanks.
I was like that and Fit for Mom. I was like,
I love that.
These 2 things that I'm like super love a lot.
I love it. Well, and they love you.
I try.
Well, Danielle, thanks so much for taking the time to chat today. It's been so much fun to get to know you and connect with you on so many fun different levels and lots of small world stuff. And I always love it. It sounds like you're up to some very cool things. And it's great to put faces to names. And hopefully everyone listening feels like they have a friend in you as well.
Maybe they see my post and they can be like, oh, wait, I know who she is.
That's right. Exactly. Or when you do a stitch swap and you get Danielle next time, then you know.
It's always good to put faces.
Absolutely. Love that.
I mean, everyone knows your face, but now everyone gets to know everybody else's face.
Exactly. So that's the whole
at least
point.
Voice.
You
or
get
at least
it.
Voice,
yes.
Depending on how you're
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Was I right or was I right? Isn't Danielle just the coolest lady? I love how much she loves her family, and I love how much she loves stitching. Her thing that lights her up the most in this world. That is so fun to get to be on the receiving end of hearing about all of that, especially since that's the industry we are in here with Stitch People. It is so much fun to connect on so many levels. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Stitch People podcast and for enjoying all of these conversations with Stitch People like you. We would super appreciate if you haven't already, please take a moment, subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you're listening, and leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us just overall business-wise, and it helps us shine all the cross-stitchy sunshine into the world, which we love to do. You can check out everything Stitch People has to offer, patterns, cross-stitch patterns, books, merch, all the good stuff at stitchpeople.com. And please connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. We'd love to see what you're up to and comment and like and give you all the digital high fives. Lastly, I also want to thank all of you in the Stitch People community for your support and your positive and cooperative encouragement of one another. I'd also like to thank the amazing Stitch People team for making all the magic happen behind the scenes. Our fully licensed jazzy tunes were created by Jonathan Boyle, and our sound designer is the talented Brandon Yost. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and happy stitching. The Stitch People podcast is a production of Beansky LLC and Stitch People. Copyright 2022, all rights reserved.